What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Kamen Riders. We are a Kamen Rider review podcast, and today on the show, we're going to talk about Kamen Rider Zeztz episode 22. I'm your host, Josh Meek, the Uber Geek, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Toby Tobes. How's it going, Toby?
Welcome to where your dreams become nightmares.
That's been every day of my life, I've found, so it's nice that we're watching a TV show that correlates as well.
It really captures the vibe of my life. We're just I go to sleep and things just get worse rather than better.
My life is a waking nightmare, just like Zeztz. Smiley face. Speaking of your life being like a television program, I realized that I'm a cartoon character the other day, Toby. So if we have like snacks around the house and stuff, like most of the time, I'm not that tempted with it. Like I can consume them in moderation and stuff. But I found my weakness the other day, and turns out it is pie. So we had a pie in the house, and I did the thing that you only see in cartoons, where I cut myself a portionable slice of pie, but then I took the large section that was left and left the portionable slice of pie in the container, and I took the big chunk instead.
Did you cut it like 95-5 or at least like 30-20?
I will say there was less than half of the pie left at the time, but I definitely took like 75% and left 25% of what was left. And I did it, and it was like, listen, I'm happy about this choice I'm making, but this is a ridiculous thing that I've just done.
So even tied to that, I guess I'm a cartoon character too, to take it one step past that. The times I actually try to portion out my dessert, which is usually like Doritos or Takis or something else along those lines, I'll pour myself like a bowl full and be like, I'm going to do portion control today. I'm going to be real responsible. And I'll have one portion and I'll go, wow, these sugars and fats are surely addictive. I need like one more bowl. I'll be real happy. So then I'll pour the second bowl of portion control, which at that point is ruining portion control. And because bags of chips are usually so tragically undersized at that point, I'll look in the bag after the second bowl and go, well, it's not a third actual serving left. I might as well finish these today anyway. And somehow I go from one portion of chips to one bag in spite of me like not wanting to eat a whole bag, which I do all the time.
Yeah, I've been there too. It's very easy to do the like, well, that's most the bag. I might as well just finish it. Yeah, I might as well just polish this thing off right now.
That's absolutely my thing. Like, I don't like leftovers, and it's only in the sense of like, I just don't want leftovers, where whatever portion I'm given, I feel like that's the portion, whether it's like an entire pizza or 27 bags of chips or whatever. So I eat enough where, like, if we're at a restaurant and like actually get like a decent sized meal and I eat like 75% of it, I'll stare at it, and even if I'm full, I'll go, I need to finish this. And it's not so much that like I'm still hungry. It's more if I take a quarter of a portion home, that's not going to be enough food for me to eat the next day anyway.
Yeah.
And I'd rather just enjoy all my food, and then like other people have leftovers around me because no one else is insane like this, and they all just ate a reasonable amount. But that doesn't make sense to me. Like I was given the food, I was told to eat this much, I'm going to finish this much.
Yeah, I used to be very much like that, of just like, it's on the plate, I'm going to eat it. And recently I have worked on improving that, and I've worked on stopping when I'm actually full and stuff now more often than I used to. But it's certainly a challenge. I'm with you that my initial thought, my mind goes to like, well, I'm just going to clean the plate. That's what we do. That's what I was told when I was a child. You clean your plate, right?
Yeah. And especially like when you don't have a choice when you're younger, like usually your portion is controlled for you. And it's like, I know like it's like studies, whatever, have shown now that like forced portion control for kids and being like, you need to finish it all, like actually fucks up kids' development with eating and how they look at food and stuff. So in being in charge of my own portions, I basically just overserve myself, or I serve however much I want because I'm an adult-ish. And then I look at it and I go, well, I gave this to myself. I'm gonna finish this bad boy.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
But yeah. So it's funny because like only specifically today. So went to the farmer's market, I think it was last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, and I'd hate sweet potatoes, But the other day I had sweet potatoes because I wanted to make sweet potato fries, and I was like, I'm gonna make a baked sweet potato for dinner or like with dinner. And I realized they're actually kind of good that way. So I was all excited. And from the farmer's market the other day, I got a sweet potato that I would say literally is like the size of a mini Nerf football. So like it was a large sweet potato, a very large sweet potato. And I was like, I giggled when I got it. I was like, this is the craziest fucking thing. I've never seen a potato this big. And I cut it in half, and I had half for dinner, and the actual half was too much. And I got through a chunk of it, and I was staring at it, and I actually said to myself, "This is actually too much potato. I have to stop eating this," and actually made put some away.
That's insane. That is a hefty potato.
But basically, like cutting it in half, it almost filled a baking tray. Like it was
Holy
like that much
crap.
goddamn potato.
That's like a mutant potato at that
It
point.
was. That's why I was so excited about it. I was like, this seems impossible, and yet it's here.
I feel like with the we've been genetically modifying our fruits and veggies for a long time in this country. Why don't we have just giant fruits and veggies now? Like why can I not go to the store and buy a watermelon that's like the size of my car? Like why aren't we doing that? I want to get
Instead of
real weird with it.
Yeah, instead of buying like a bag of like 5, 6 cucumbers, why can't I have one 3 foot long, 2 foot wide girth, whatever, cucumber,
Yeah.
and then for like $5? Like
Yeah.
the pricing should be the same. Just give me one massive thing instead of the little things.
Yeah, that sounds good. I guess Japan actually does this to some extent because they do like they'll do like a watermelon that's square for no reason and stuff. Like they do
That's
grow their fruit kind of weird.
Well, I mean, like squaring the round stuff makes sense for stocking and shelving reasons. I'm not gonna
Exactly.
that checks out for like just good marketing branding. Hey, it's way easier to stack 20 watermelons that are squares instead of 6 that are round and rule around.
Yeah, totally. Although I'm assuming that the square watermelons are not genetically modified and they are just grown in an enclosed space, right? I
Yeah,
would I would guess.
like they sell whenever Halloween rolls around. There's always people that show I have a funny shaped pumpkin, but you can buy like Frankenstein head pumpkin mold, for
Oh,
lack of a
okay.
better term.
Yeah.
And basically, like once you see it starting to grow, you just kind of like wrap this plastic mold around the pumpkin and it just grows into the required shape. So yeah, so it's not genetically modified. It's
Got
just
it.
human engineered.
That's kind of cool though. I'm pretty into that idea. Yeah, we should definitely have weirder fruits. That's my platform that I'm gonna campaign on, Toby.
Or at least change the shapes of everything. It's goddamn
Yeah.
2026. Like, give me a square tomato. Maybe just we need like sharper edges on things. Like most fruits, vegetables, whatever, are usually like round or cylindrical. Bring back
Yeah.
squares,
Yeah,
rectangles.
totally. Yeah. Also, in general, I think I just want food to be weirder than it is now. Like, do you remember when we were younger? Heinz came out with that green ketchup. Do you remember that?
Yeah, there was green and purple, and I don't know if we talked about it on here or I just told you separately, told other people separately. When my younger brother was younger, he used to get migraines all the time. And somehow the doctor or the family swore it was from like foods that had red food dye in them.
Okay,
So
sure.
he specifically always got the green ketchup when that was a thing because everyone swore that because
Didn't
it
have the
wasn't
red
just the
40 in it. Yeah.
yeah,
I
which
could
could,
see
which
that.
could be
Yeah.
right. It could be right, but that's unconfirmed, and that was like 35 years ago at this point.
Yeah, I do know that other countries definitely don't like the red 40 and ban it. But I don't know. I haven't looked into the science to see if it's actually um if it's confirmed or if it's just suspected or what. But our country still loves red 40 and it's in
Yeah,
everything.
all the
So
colors.
yeah.
Well, it's like even like some sodas now, but mainly like surprising of all things, like Frito Lay, Doritos, like that brand of things.
Uh-huh.
They have a bunch of naked chips now, so it's still like Cool Ranch Doritos, but with no dyes in it, and they look like way more like plain corn chips. But
Oh.
like I'm game for that. I'll take the
Yeah.
chemicals in my food.
I'm looking those up. So it's like NKD naked. Oh,
Yeah,
even the bags are
of
like
course.
not.
Yeah, they're just like plain white, aren't they?
Yeah, those aren't bad looking. I would eat those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, yeah, the less you can put in it that's like not that doesn't need to be there. I'm fine with that. Yeah.
And then
But
and then
if
you
you want
pretend
to
it's
go
healthy.
crazy, yeah, and then it presents healthy. But also, I'm very down if you want to get crazy with food. Like, I think that the green ketchup was gross, but I'm willing to walk down that path if someone else wants to do other experiments. Because for every green ketchup, we might get one naked Dorito. You might get something that actually works.
Yeah. Again, it's goddamn 2026. Let's start doing some crazy stuff again.
Exactly. Everything else is crazy. We might as well make food crazy too.
Yeah. At least it's like it'll be something like fun crazy and not just crazy crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of crazy, let's jump over to Kamen Rider talk, Toby. This week on the show, we watched Kamen Rider Zeztz episode 22, and this one was a doozy. So
This one
we
was
got,
crazy.
yeah, this one is certainly crazy. So there's a lot to talk about, and we got a lot of emails and stuff to jump into as well about it. So yeah, I guess we'll start from the top. So last time around, we saw that the children's nightmare essentially was breaking containment and coming into the real world.
It became
So
the world's nightmare.
exactly. So we open this episode where our two police officers, Fujimi and Nazca, wake up in the middle of a park, and they don't really know how they got there. They head back to the command closet, and Baku then tells them, "Hey, I failed the mission. The nightmare's in the real world." And then walking into the command closet as well, 5 and 6 can just apparently show up anytime they want, which is kind of crazy.
I mean, I guess since it is like Code's Japan fronted human, not dream world base, it checks out. But yeah, I thought like there's 6 or 7 people in Baku's closet, effectively.
Yeah.
Like whatever teleport door closet be damned. There's still 7 people chilling in the dude's closet, which is hilarious. And it was funny to me in the beginning of the episode where Nazca, like, her constant thing of constantly like kicking Fujimi's ass when he reacts stupid. Like when she woke him up, or when they both woke up together, he seemed confused, and she's like, "Wake up!" or yelled at him for something, and gave him like another roundhouse kick. So I'm into like her beating the shit out of him when he gets out of line.
Dude, she beats the shit out of him even when he doesn't deserve it. Like, he woke up and he was groggy, and I think he said like, "You're under arrest" or something, and then she just wails on him.
Yeah, he was being dumb.
It's becoming an abusive relationship. That's all I'm saying. 5 and 6 want Baku to go with them because they're gonna go handle the nightmare. That's their new mission. Baku does leave with them, but outside, 5 says something along the lines of like, "All right, you guys handle the nightmare, and I'm gonna go take down Nox, or I'm gonna put Nox down." And of course, Baku doesn't want to actually hurt anybody and says, "Hey, let's not kill anybody. What are we doing here?" 5 says Nox is no longer qualified as a human being, and Baku, of course, pushes back on that and says that he doesn't actually know if Code's doing the right thing, and he's not gonna follow those orders if they involve hurting somebody.
He's as strictly non-human murdering as they come, which that seems to be his ride or die there. And when I think it was when they were talking either in the closet or shortly after, when 5 and 6 were talking about Baku, and 5 was like, "He's not fit to carry the mantle," blah blah blah. 6 says the fact that he transforms into Zeztz makes him special.
Yeah.
And I was all excited because we cracked that code last week or the week before. We're like, everyone else can henshin, but there's only one Zeztz, and that's why like Baku's like extra special, where he's actually like Kamen Rider Zeztz, and the rest are just suited martial arts figures people.
Yeah, that was a cool line to point out, because like, I think sometimes in Kamen Rider shows, like, that's the case where the main character is special and has extra powers, but they don't cover why. And I like that we're getting into the like, well, he's extra special for some reason. Like, we're gonna delve deeper into why he can be Zeztz and why others can't. Like, clearly there's something, and we get to kind of see it a little bit. Like, he later in the episode finds that like nightmare that is in his subconscious that gives him power and stuff. So, I think that's a hint in the direction. But yeah, I liked that as well. Like, Well, this guy, listen, he's on a higher level than us. Unfortunately, it's sort of the vibe that 5 and 6 have here.
I think if nothing else, at least with the way they're presenting all these people, I would say that his specialness is just purely the fact that like he's like quote unquote man over mission versus like mission over man
Yeah,
for the sake of like coming up with a phrase real quick of what it is. But since he actually has like people's well-beings, like the empathy concern part more so than just like we're gonna go murder shit because code tells me. I think that's obviously what his special quirk is, his humanity or whatever we're gonna call that
yeah,
trait.
could be. Yeah, for sure. That makes a lot of sense. I really like one thing I really liked about this episode was that Baku was finally forced to confront, I guess, his feelings about code. Like for a long time now, he has sort of gone through the motions of like, well, I'm still a code agent and I'm still kind of doing the missions, but really I'm just trying to protect dreamers. And he sort of had like been in this gray area. And this was the first time where they pressed him on it. And it's like, this is what we're doing, and he had to say no. And then obviously I think it's really, really smart that they turned that into a breakdown moment for him. Basically, like there's later in the episode, he's like, I thought I was doing the right thing, and then like look what happened. Like everything's ruined. Um, it's a cool way to, tear your main character down in order to build him back up. I thought that was neat.
Would you? Is he built back up? Because
Not yet. No.
I guess we're gonna do like the jumping around stuff. So because he has his moment and everything goes to shit, we get Baku 2.0 today with his actual darkness or his actual nightmare as his power. And it seems more like him having his questioning his job role humanity stuff made him evil, or like I guess he presents more evil than he used to.
Yeah.
Or that's gonna be the new hot debate.
Well, yeah, I think that is a good debate and good to keep in mind. So let's put a pin in that, and we'll get back to it, because I think that there's some cause for like his attitude at the end of the end of this episode. So after, of course, he decides to not follow the orders with 5 and 6, he essentially he goes into a bad dream, right? Because Kureha mentions a dream from his childhood. Baku doesn't know what she's talking about. But later he's in the dream, and this dream is kind of crazy. It's like he sees like a baby buggy basically that he thinks is him, and it's in just rubble, like rubble of a
like
city.
a nightmare hellscape.
Yeah, exactly. And then eventually, after coming back to this place again, Baku realizes that this is his subconscious that he's inside of. Nem is also here. She knows Baku's real name. And in the second time we visit this subconscious location, a nightmare appears and captures Nem. Baku, that second time, realizes...
I feel like capture is a strong word. Just for the record.
Grabs her, right? He consumes her, sort of.
He smoke holds her arms, and then she's like, "Oh, this isn't good," and he's just like, "Oh no, this isn't good."
But Baku kind of realizes that nightmare is also the source of his power, and then that leads to his ultimate power up that we get in this episode. Which I think that this season has a hard time, because so much of this is like, oh, it's dream world and we can kind of make up anything we want. They've done a good job of not just sort of like doing the hand wavy, it's all a dream thing. But I went in my subconscious and I found a nightmare that was the source of my powers is a little hand wavy. It was all a dream for me. I don't know. Like it's, it kind of feels like an easy answer for them that they've written, but they might further explain it more in future episodes. I'm not sure.
I mean, so every time we've vaguely questioned that exact statement right there, I feel like in a week or two, you and I will always have the conversation down the road that is, wow, every time they left something open-ended, the show is fantastic at closing it back up.
Yep.
So I will say that in my best prediction or guess of the show, they'll absolutely do the right thing by this because as of now we are 22 episodes in, which seems crazy to me now that I read the number again. But I feel like they've done no actual wrong so far with all these things. So I feel like they get the benefit of the doubt at this point, where I'm sure they'll do the right thing or stick the landing for it kind of deal.
Yeah, I think I agree. They deserve the benefit of the doubt at this point. We do get a brief scene with the lady next. She has been analyzing Zero's memory capsule. It's now complete, and she asks Nox if he's ready to give up his soul, and he says yes. So
And she dumps it in the water.
yeah, things are getting weird over there in anti-code territory.
And it's weird. I feel like it's extra for Knox because everything else so far, like we said a couple weeks ago, he seems very like I'm here but not here for most of
Yeah.
this. And this week specifically, he seems very like no fuck all this. Like I'm team ECOD or the hell dumb word I made up last time. And he seems like all aboard. Like yeah, whatever, fuck it, let's do this.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this week is a big turning point for Nox, and it's because of what we'll talk about next here. So 5 and 6 are working on fighting the nightmare. They end up on a roof. Nox ends up there as well. And essentially, long story short, 5 and 6 both end up getting killed. So, or seemingly killed, I guess I will say. Because again, it's all a dream world, and who knows what can happen. But 6 ends up getting basically impaled by the nightmare. Like literally, like a hole gets blown through her, which is kind of crazy.
Oh no.
And go,
I assumed they both. Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention then. I assumed 5 and 6 looked like they both got point blank shot by Knox.
I think that might have also happened. Like for sure.
They didn't show it, but like after 6, the woman Kamen Rider, like
Mhm.
after she got the full blown impaled and looked near dead, like Knox pulled out what looked like an actual like real life pistol and was like more so than
Right.
like any other show since like Black. I feel like this got like real dark real fast. And to me, it seemed like he basically like execution style shot both of them, obviously off screen. And then when they came back, there was no blood, of course, because kids show. But I still thought they both got like a bullet to the head and like, okay, you're both out of here now, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think for sure that happened. Like I think the 6 one, like I think that the nightmare did most of the damage, but I think definitely like they're indicating that Nox finished her off. I'm rewatching the scene as we're talking about it, and for sure, like he points the gun right at her. There's a long pause. They're not going to show it on screen, but yeah, the insinuation is that he kills her, he shoots her, and then later again, the insinuation is that he does the exact same thing to 5. Baku shows up, and in one of the gnarliest scenes in Kamen Rider in recent memory, it's just the two of them just laying dead on the ground with Nox over them with a gun, which is crazy.
Yeah. And the only part that like makes it harder to read, I guess, but you also take the show into consideration is the fact that like if it was any other action movie drama show, like if they were supposed to be like dead, there would definitely be like huge pools of blood around
Yeah,
their heads, or like they'd show the hole at least or whatever. So I know they're not going to do that in the kid show, but it's still a crazy thing of like he was pointing the gun at 6 first, woman one, whatever, and like they do a hard cut to like the status meters of
yeah,
the Kamen Riders, and just shows like no heartbeat, no pulse, grayed out body on the computer screen. So yeah, like I guess at least to me, I guess you kind of agreed. Like the main assumption was just, hey, I shot her. Now she is dead. Way to
yep,
go, Baku. Good job.
yeah. That was a cool way to confirm it. Is like cutting over to 3 and him being like, "Okay, well, she's dead." I was like, "All right." Yeah, and the like I said, the scene where Baku shows up is just crazy looking. Um, and like we said, I think this is a big turning point for Nox, right? Because up until this point, he mostly was trying to take the moral high ground of like code's evil and it used you and you've been brainwashed or whatever. Like code just uses up the agents and that's all they're for. And now he's just committing just cold-blooded murder in the name of like taking down code, and that feels like a big line cross, in his um, otherwise moral stance against code.
I guess the main thing would be like he still hasn't done any of that shit to Baku. So
True.
I guess
Yeah.
I guess his mental truce with Baku is still going strong, but he could definitely have two confirmed murders at this point.
Yeah. Um, Five got to go out real cool, before he got killed. He got to stand up and do his big like, "I'm code number 5 and I'm code's guard dog," right before he like, gets killed. But he got a cool, last moment, if it actually is his last moment.
He did, and still seems as Yakuza right hand man as it comes.
Hell
With him
yeah.
screaming, "I'm the guard dog," and then getting put down.
um the characters like reacting to those deaths is also a good chunk of the episode here. So of course, Natsuki, the police officer, or sorry, Naska, is completely distraught when she finds out that her friend has been killed, and Fujimi kind of has to like restrain her to keep her from like running off in her terror and in her panic. Um, and Baku, as I mentioned earlier, definitely responds to it as like, I thought not following code was doing the right thing, but now I've gotten these people killed. And if only I had gone there. And he kind of has like really a meltdown, like a full breakdown about it. Um, which, like you said, like he's not been built back up yet. This is the breaking down point, I think. And I think that's cool. I like that they gave him consequences for. He finally had to make a decision. He kind of had to put his stick in the sand and say like, this is what I think, and then instantly suffered consequences for it. And I think that that's good storytelling.
Yeah, and then like it's kind of I feel like the one thing they keep going back to the well with a little too much is it would have been maybe like 2 months ago at this point, but whenever like Black Case shit goes bad, uh, the guy cop loves to scream at Baku and tell him like what a piece of shit he is and be like, "This is all your fault. How dare you?" Blah blah blah.
He does, yeah.
And I feel like he keeps forgetting that Baku's like a 17-year-old kid, and like the cop has a really weird, horrible, "I'm going to deflect my rage onto you" on this small child constantly.
Yeah, I thought this episode, him doing that was especially egregious because Baku's like kind of trying to explain like, hey, I don't know if I can trust code, so I'm gonna do my own thing and save people. And Fujimi's like, well, you should listen to them. Like they're trying to save people. You need to help them. Like he really comes down on the side of code in that argument with Baku, and it's like, you're a police officer and you're talking about this like basically clandestine, unregistered, what could essentially be a terrorist organization. Like you shouldn't be supporting them. Like you should be on the side of like law and order. It's crazy that he was like, well, I don't know. I think you should do what they're saying. I think you should go kill that guy. I don't know.
Yeah, like I mean, obviously, like it's a part. I mean, slightly part of it, sure, is like protecting his friend. Like her friend just got murdered and stuff, but he just like this is not the first time he's yelled at Baku of like, "Why are you so dumb? Why are you so horrible?" But I feel like they're doing it too much because again, every time it's really just an adult yelling at a child of like, "Hey, I'm a cop and you're a kid who has a magic closet, but this is your fault, not my fault."
Yeah. I mean, yeah, really for all, um, for he's a black case investigator and he's been at it a long time. Like he's not really that involved. So for him to be like, "Hey, person who's actually doing all the hard work, you suck at this. I can't believe you're so bad at this job," is pretty funny. Of course, as you mentioned, we do get powered up Baku out of this after he realizes that nightmare is the source of his power. He is able to confront it and get a new capsum, which is the catastrom
Yeah.
capsum, and basically he becomes like beefed up macho Zeztz. I think that this form is sick looking. It's ridiculous with the giant muscles,
He's just
but
jacked, like
yeah, he's
actually like
just so
jacked,
jacked.
jacked.
Yeah, and I'm way into it. I think it looks really really good. I can see how some people might hate it, but I think it's pretty sick.
Yeah,
I,
there's not a ton to say about it compared to like other forms, I guess. But it's basically just like if he put full body armor on his torso, it's not like that much crazier. Like it kind of looks like his old costume, but he's literally just ripped now. He just looks like extra like Iron Man-y, strong, jacked, and he has all sorts of cool powers, of course. Extra strong. He did a cool thing where like Nox had the gun to him, and he basically like punched through the gun, shattered the gun to punch Nox and slam him against the wall, which I thought was just like an awesome way to show like look how fucking strong he is now.
yeah, it was so sick. Um, he also like is sort of, I don't know, he's like more severe in this whole fight. Like he keeps being like, what does he keep saying? It's like I'll take you down, or I'll kill you, or I'll crush you, or something. It's something along those lines. He keeps just sort of repeating it over and over again too. Because he seems like basically it's like you killed people. I'm done with you now. Like this is ending. He says I'll break you. That's what he says. I'll break you, which is so sick. Just telling someone you're gonna break them is cool.
So like
Um,
now that we're at this part, the part that's like I guess I don't get or it's weird. Like if we're saying the nightmare inside him was always his power, it seems weird that he has to like take his power and make it his power
yeah.
to get like powered up. I guess which is would be like the only part that there's an extra layer to that seems weird. But I don't know.
I think the like anime explanation that they'll use is like, oh, it was always there, but now you've like unlocked the true potential, right? Like you were only using a portion of the power before, but now that you know it's there and you can harness it, it's the now you got the full power, or something dumb. That feels
Yeah.
like a very like hand wavy explanation that they could use.
Yeah, like that's the only part that's would be vaguely off-ish to me, but I'm sure like, it's fine. It's not that really that big of a deal.
Yeah. But yeah, we definitely have new powered up Baku, and I think that not only is it a new capsule, it's also a new driver, I believe.
It looked like it
Um,
had like 3 capsule slots
yeah.
or holes or whatever instead of just one. I'm trying to find the thing. It looks almost like it almost looks like a motorcycle headlight with like extra headlights around it kind of deal
Ooh. Okay, I could see that being the inspiration. Yeah.
or something like that. Here, I took a screenshot for you real quick. Everyone else can look it up themselves. But it's definitely like there's definitely extra like orbs or lights or
Oh yeah.
sockets or something.
It definitely made me think like, oh, are we like you said, like it looks like maybe you could slot other capsims in there or something. I'm not sure. So it made me think like, oh, what additional pieces are we gonna bolt onto this at some point?
I
But
should go
yeah,
check the toy store right now because I bet you I can get that answer.
yeah, I bet you can. I haven't looked at any of the toy spoilers or anything, but yeah, I agree. I think it does look a little motorcycle inspired now that I'm looking at the still of it. Looks like headlights for sure. So that's of course our exciting new Baku power up, but I want to hear what you think about potentially the death of 5 and 6. Like these are brand new characters they just introduced and seemingly are killing them now. So what are your thoughts?
I I feel like I should care, but I staunchly said weeks ago if we're just gonna start doing random backstories to make it a thing, we know where it's gonna end up anyway. So I guess it's like more so Nazca's friend. Like we had full story arcs with her, and it feels that one kind of feels bad. Of like,
Yeah.
oh, she knew that she was taking a chance by coming back to Code, and now like obviously she got murdered for taking that chance and coming back. So like that one feels a little more hardcore than just random 5 Yakuza man being like, "Hey, I'm the muscle," and then he's just gone.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad about both of them. Like I'm sad. about Kureha for the storyline reasons, like you're saying. Like we actually learned about her, learned about her backstory, and learned that she's tied to Nazca, and like it felt like she was a character that was gonna stick around. So like losing her is a bummer because I think we were just starting to explore her motivations and stuff. And I'm sad about Five just because he was so cool. Like he was such a cool, like big tough guy, Yakuza feeling dude. That he just all of his scenes made me smile. So even in his like death, I thought his last cool little thing of just like saying he's the guard dog was really cool. So it's a bummer to lose that character too. It made for like a very shocking episode, and this is all crazy dream stuff. So I I give it about a 50-50 shot that these characters come back. But it was a little
Well,
sad to see them potentially going.
no, well, to go back a step, because I think you said it before and I wasn't sure, and then you said it again. But like, this isn't dream stuff, though. This is
I
all
know
real
it's
world.
it's real world, but like what I'm meaning is like I don't know. I feel like you could like storyline hand wave away a reason why they aren't really dead in some way.
Because we never saw him pull the trigger. It's like a horror movie until you
Yeah,
specifically see the body dead, and you never know. But yeah, like, it, I guess I don't know. I guess they didn't know where else to go with having 4 Kamen Riders or 3 Kamen Riders rolling the whole time.
I guess. Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense. I don't know. Uh, 6 seems a little more intense just because now both cops lost some sort of partner that was in code to some
Ooh,
sort of
that,
flaw in
that
life.
is
I
true.
guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
but other
Yeah.
than
So
that,
it
like, it's
it
fine.
does. Yeah, it does loop the cops into the whole drama much more directly now, both of them, which is good, I guess, for storyline reasons.
And now since
Uh,
everyone's losing people, that means obviously at some point Zets is going to die because he has a sister, and then the code curse lives on.
the code curse lives on, indeed. Um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go, and like I said, if we do see these characters again. But I'm interested to hear people's thoughts out there, whether they think we will see him again or not, because it certainly a surprising thing to kill them both in one episode.
Yeah, I mean that part is true. And like I said, I I know we've really only watched more Kitty series, whatever you want to call it, up until like Black was awesome. I don't really not really going to count that as part of the main line here. But this was all like extremely intense for the kids show. Even though this one's a little more mature than other ones, it's just kind of crazy that like Knox pulled just a pure gun and just shooting people. Like,
Totally. Yeah, just pulls out an honest to god regular gun and seemingly murders two people in cold blood. Yeah. That
yeah,
is that's an intense thing for a kid's show for sure. Even just insinuating it happens off screen. Well, with that in mind, and with the death of 5 and 6 front and center in our minds, let's shift gears over to some emails and listener questions. Um, our first question comes in from our friend Liv from our Discord, actually. You can get access to the Discord via our Patreon, which is patreon.com/thecommentwriters. So Liv has posted this in our episode questions chat over there in the Discord. And Liv says, "Boys, I would have words with Yuya Takahashi. Unfortunately, I do not speak Japanese, so instead, here we are on this podcast. As a small side note, while the format of this prose will be more along the lines of an email, I figured I would do my part to promote the Patreon by submitting it through the episode questions chat to remind everyone that they should all be joining the Discord."
what a good sales pitch. Patreon.com/thecommentwriters. Only $3 a month to get Discord access, lots of episodes upon episodes upon episodes. Now you can continue.
Now, on to my feelings on episode 22. While I absolutely loved the drama and phenomenal acting we got to see in this episode, I really, really, really hate the direction they decided to go with Agents 5 and 6. While I understand concerns of having too many irons in the fire and storylines getting too complicated, the choice to bring them in and then kill them off for no reason other than fridging, motivation for Baku and Nox and Nasuke, to be fair, and or shock value feels cheap and underdeveloped. My anger about the death of Five is mostly because of the potential that I thought his character really had, especially with the implications that he may have been Nox's protege, with the familiarity with which they spoke, and the fact that we know Nox used to be a teacher at the Code School, and Five came directly after Nox's Four. And of course, the doomed Yowie vibes there, but I digress. Not to mention the fact that his death felt almost like an afterthought. We get a huge reaction in response to the death of Six, but when Five was killed, we didn't even get to see Three comment on it or anything. Now the one that really hurt. When we saw Kureha get her driver at the end of episode 19, I was so excited. I was having a bad day at work, and I watched this episode on my lunch break, and I remember cheering out loud that we might actually get a female secondary writer for the first global season. Especially since people in the fandom had been saying it wasn't going to happen because of how many people reacted so negatively to Kudo being a female secondary. And the pain that I felt in my heart when the next episode, not only were we introduced to an entirely different character, Agent 5, that got to Henshin before she did, but also as somebody that I follow online put so succinctly, 5 was given more of a personality and character expression in his 3 episodes than she got in her 5. We learned that she was competent and brave, but if you asked me to describe her as a person, I couldn't tell you anything about her individually other than she used to shoot hoops. Though with 5, I could easily say brutish, loyal, willing to die for the cause. They even gave him a catchphrase line that he gets to repeat multiple times about don't let go until the target is dead. Whereas with Kureha, the best we get is a few lines of dialogue about her maybe not being the most loyal to Code, or theories that she was planning to make changes from the inside in ways that leave us with more questions than answers. It is kind of well known that the head writer for Zeztz, Yu Yu Takahashi, is just really bad at writing women and prefers to write female characters that serve as helper roles, like he did with Sumuri, the navigator in Geats, Nem in Zeztz, and Poppy in Xaid, rather than make female writers a part of the main cast for the season. I did a little bit of math, and throughout the 4 seasons that he has been the head writer, so Xaid, 01, Geats, and Zeztz, there are 14 total writers I would consider main cast, and only 2 of them are women. As a side note, that I feel only fair to include here, I was messaging Charlie about this week's episode, and before I could even get a word out of my opinions, I mentioned the name Takahashi, and his immediate response was, Yu Yu Takahashi shows are where female characters go to either die or be wasted on the sidelines. It just sucks because Six's reason for joining Code was about her having the power to do so, to make her own decision about her future. It was empowering as an audience member, and then it was cut short and replaced with an overwhelming feeling of powerlessness. And to be clear, this is not me hating on the show overall. In fact, I'm really enjoying it. It's the fact that I am otherwise loving the show that makes it feel much worse. Anyhow, hope you guys are doing well, and can't wait to hear your take on the episode. Sorry for the long rant. I think I agree with all of Liv's statements here. Yeah, it feels like a bummer to lose Kureha, especially because I think that she did have a lot of potential. Like some of her cryptic statements that she said along the way, as Liv pointed out, like why she's joining Code or rejoining Code because she has the power to do so, and like she seems like someone who wants to do the right thing, but she's still involved with Code. So like there's a lot of figuring out why that could have been done there, and it feels like if she is permanently dead, that's kind of a missed opportunity, and I would have loved to find out more along those lines.
Now that was all written out and stuff, and I think about it, I feel like she was starting to get the character stuff until they decide that 5 had to come back too, and then they don't know how, like writer guy whatever doesn't know how to do 2 characters at once, and it's just like one or the other.
Yeah, maybe that could be.
Like once 5 got there, like 5 got the Code stuff or like the catchphrase Code stuff and like all that, and then that's when 6 was just like there again to like the gunshot stuff. She at least got to drop the line, like we said, of her recognizing that Baku might be the answer to the problem, kind of deal.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's or at least once. Maybe not. They switched 5 and 6 having a character when 6-5 showed up. More so, they both didn't do anything. Like she was getting stuff until they were both there, and then they just didn't do anything to drive either character. I feel like maybe. Like it was just like, I mean, it was just more like, hey, here's all the old agents, more so than like here is Agent 5. Person things, and then here's Agent 6, person things, kind of deal.
Yeah, I think that's more where it went. Like she got her introductory episodes where we like learn about her backstory and her connections with Nazca and stuff. But yeah, then after that, it was sort of okay. Now your background characters, you're gonna fight Nox a few times, and like we're not gonna dive deep in your story right now.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's probably a little more accurate, at least sounding it out from my own thoughts, lookings, readings, whatever kind of thing.
yeah, and I had assumed like okay, yeah, we'll get back to finding more about her in the future, but maybe it was just because yeah, we're gonna kill her, so we're not gonna tell you anymore. Who's to say? But yeah, that's good thoughts on the episode there, Liv, and yeah, I think I agree. I am loving the show so far, so I will give them the benefit of the doubt on where they're going with this, but it certainly is sad to lose a couple like pretty cool characters that they'd introduced so far. Continuing on with emails and listener questions, we do have an email address, which is cast@commonridersucks.com. Once again, that is cast@commonridersucks.com. And even if you're not in the Patreon, you can send us in an email and it will most likely get read on the show. We've got a few emails this week. Our first in comes from Jordan, who's written in a few other times. And Jordan says, Zeztz -5 and 6, Core Nightmare, Zeztz Catastrophe Nightmare, and Catastrom. So Jordan says, so 5 and 6 are dead now. We've only known them for a few episodes, but it felt like a little long with how well their characters were handled. Now all we need is to see 1 and 2, and potentially numbers above 7, and have met all major players in Code. Next, I've had a thought about Nem and the nightmares spawning from her subconscious. As far as we know right now, Nem is just a regular human, so she shouldn't be able to enter people's dreams or spawn nightmares. My theory is that there is a core nightmare somewhere in her subconscious responsible for creating all the nightmares. Either it will be the final boss or it'll be put into a capsum by Edoc and used by a rider, most likely.
I'm glad it's picking up.
Yeah. Speaking of the lady, another theory I have is that she used to be a high-ranking member of Code along with 0 and 3. She was probably either 1 or 2. And finally, Baku's new form, Catastrom, and with the nightmare powering it, the Zeztz Nightmare or the Catastrophe Nightmare. Which name do you think sounds better? I like Catastrophe Nightmare. That sounds very metal to me.
They're both pretty good.
Yeah. As stated by Baku, it was this nightmare that facilitated his transformation into Zeztz before I theorized that Code was creating the lesser Zeztz nightmares, but it turns out they came from this thing, which begs another question. Was there another Zeztz before Baku, and they extracted the capsum powers from? There must have been, in my opinion. Koreha stated that him using the Zeztz driver showed how special he was. All the Code agents can transform, but we've only seen them use the various invoker systems. Baku is that rare 1 in a million that can be Zeztz. There must have been at least one before him, as they already had the driver ready during his fight with the gun nightmare in episode 1. So yeah, we touched on that a little bit. Like Zeztz and Baku and his ability to become Zeztz is clearly special amongst all the Code agents. So do you think he was the first Zeztz, or do you think he is in a lineage of Zetzes?
It feels only because of the weird wording about it today, or a guess, or just the comment of, well, this is why he's Zeztz. It feels very like Neo, we found the one kind of thing. So like I think he's probably like the first actual Zeztz, and Zeztz is like the superhero that the world was waiting for kind of thing.
Yeah, that's certainly, I guess, a more common story trope for sure. The Neo, the one, is here to save everything. I think Jordan's thought about the lady is pretty interesting. Like maybe she is 1 or 2, and she defected, and that's why we haven't met them yet, is because it was actually her. I think that could be cool, and I could see that being the likely explanation.
I would, if I had to guess, out of those 2 specific numbers, since we're running out of numbers, I would assume she almost has to be at 2. Because like we'll assume like 1 made Code and then 1 made 0, to be like, hey, I need a robot helper. Here's a download. Knock yourself out. And then I could see her being 2 of her being the first one that was involved with all this shit and being like, I don't like what the hell happened here. This is kind of nonsense. I want to get away from here. And depending on how many people were there at once, I could see like her and Nox, if they're like writing this into the story kind of thing, like she had her feelings. Nox went through all his stuff and he's like, oh yeah, I remember her. Like, she always kind of warned me this place sucked, and now I see it dead, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like her being 2 makes more sense to have the person, like I feel like the maker of code would not be the one that's like, code sucks, even though it could be. I feel like it makes more sense that like the first code agent was the one that got fucked over the most. And then her being like, well, I'm definitely against this at this point. Like, you screwed me over kind of deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see her being number 2. I think the thing for me that mainly would lend her to being number 1 is her age. She just seems like old enough that she could have been the first one of them. Like,
all these people look timeless. I don't know how to judge the ages of these people.
I don't know. She seems a lot older than Nox to me. So like, I guess it probably isn't that much of a difference from like 2 to 4 to 1 to 4, but there's just something about her that made me think she would be a little bit more of a forerunner. But yeah, who knows? So yeah, Jordan, thanks very much for the email and for the theories there. We also got an email this week from our friend Shade. Shade says, greetings everyone, and welcome to Case 22 of Kamen Rider Zeztz. Lots of crazy things happened today on Zeztz. But today is also the premiere for Project Red's first entry, Super Space Sheriff Gavan Infinity. Definitely check that out if you can. I won't spoil anything, but I can say that so far it has my Gavan fan seal of approval. And from what I've seen, a lot of other Gavan fans thought the same as well. Then Shade dives into the case file for episode 22. This time we got to see the Disaster Nightmare's destruction in real life. The script only describes the scene as a thunder dragon burst forth from the dark clouds, and a thunder dragon attacks and destroys the city. The rendition of the scene itself was created via director Shibasaki's direction. Yeah, the crazy sky dragons that showed up. We didn't talk about those, but those were crazy. It was a cool visual.
Lightning dragons, yeah, basically lightning dragons.
Yeah, those were pretty darn neat. Shade points out, of course, the real guns that are the real gun that was used in this episode, and they do a little bit of training on the how to hold guns for the actors behind the scenes. Then Shade talks about 5 and 6's last stand and says, seriously, what is with Yu Takahashi and killing off characters on holidays?
It's always a holiday. Kamen Rider and holiday deaths.
Yeah.
A pair made in heaven.
Which leads us to the debut of Kamen Rider Zeztz Catastrom. Baku uses the power of the Catastrophe Gore Nightmare, which is apparently the official name, that resides deep inside his subconscious to create his new form. Oh, and if you're wondering, that's not a new driver, it's just a gigantic capsim. Oh, okay, there you go. So not an entirely new toy, just one of those big gimmick attachments that we get. Shade goes on to say, if you pay close attention to Catastrom's transformation sequence, you'll notice that there were 4 different colors coming out of the new Capsim's turbines. Those were the 4 colors of the 4 original categories of Capsims: Physicam, Technolam, Esprim, and Paradigm, which stand for body, civilization, mind, and dimension. Shade says, by the way, I love how the wind turbines on the new Capsim is clearly a reference to the original Showa rider belts that were wind-powered. That's pretty cool. I hadn't thought about that connection on those.
Makes more sense, I guess.
Yep. That's the end of the case file for episode 22, which Shade goes on to say some of my thoughts on the episode. One of the things that surprised me the most in this episode is that it very quickly confirmed my theory from last time. This time, Kureha, aka Code Number 6, straight up confirmed that Baku is the only one that can transform into Zeztz, and the reason why Baku is so special is because of this thing. One other thing that surprised me, Nox is beyond redemption now. I can't think of anything that can excuse his actions, and there's a really good chance that he will remain a villain until the end. This entire episode has convinced me that Baku should totally kill Nox, This was my exact reaction to Catastrom beating up Nox. And Shade has linked a GIF of Aisho Speed in front of the battle where he's cheering cheering on Baku to take Nox out, which is very funny. Yeah, I hadn't actually thought of that angle. Like, because Nox had been seemingly on the right side of things for a while, I kept assuming that eventually he was going to turn good. And I think this basically shuts that door completely at this point. I agree.
I guess you never know, but it is possible.
Shade says, you guys don't know this, but throughout the entire history of Kamen Rider, there have been a few secondary writers who became or stayed a villain until the very end of the show. This doesn't happen very often because having the deuteragonist of a kid's that's a word I don't know. Shade, sorry, I can figure it out from context, but that's a new word for me. Having the deuteragonist of a kid's TV show be super evil could be controversial. So if Zeztz is willing to commit to Nox being evil, then it would be very ambitious of them, especially while being the first international writer. That's going to be it for me for the email section this week. There wasn't a lot of info in the case file. Most of the news and tidbits about this week were about Gavon Infinity, so there wasn't a lot for Zeztz. So the only tidbit we have for Zeztz is this week is the new Superhero Time intro and outro featuring Zeztz and Gavon Infinity. If you guys are planning on watching or covering Gavon Infinity anytime soon, I'd love to make an email pointing out all the little details that are in the show. Now, if you excuse me, I have to go jam out to Gavon Infinity's opening song again. And before we answer that about Gavon Infinity, let me read our last email, Toby, because it's also about that as well.
Yeah.
This one comes in from Unidentified. And Unidentified says, hello, Kamen Riders and Ridettes. First time writing into the show. Hope everyone's week is going well. And if not, hope it gets better. Anyways, just wanted to ask your guys' thoughts on the new Space Sheriff Gavon, if you've seen it. And if not, what your hopes are for the series. So, yeah, I think the plan is that we will go into Space Sheriff Gavon after we finish Goes Euchre, which we are, 2 episodes away from finishing at this point?
Yeah, we're basically right there.
Yeah. So we are, 2 or 3 weeks delayed from starting Gavon. But yeah, I think we are going to watch that for the Patreon is our current plan. So if you are interested in watching that along with us or hearing our thoughts for it along the way, definitely sign up for the Patreon, patreon.com/thecommentwriters. And yeah, you can start with us from the very beginning, very soon, and check out Gavon. So yeah, that's our current plans for Space Sheriff Gavon. And I'm sure once we get started on it, we'll probably touch on it here and there on the actual podcast, but I think the majority of our time with it will be on the Patreon. Unidentified goes on to say, also wanted to recommend a toku show for the Patreon Watch and Reacts, which is great value, by the way. #not sponsored. A long-running franchise called Garo, but specifically the first season from 2005. It's intended for a more mature audience. It's basically about a man who hunts horrors that reflect the dark desire and sins of humanity. I would say its main strengths are the choreography, the 3 main characters, and its body horror elements. To keep this brief and non-spoilery, that's all I'll say, but it's great, and I feel like it's not brought up enough, but still going strong with spin-off projects. Thanks for the content and for listening. Take care. So yeah, thanks very much for the first-time email there, Unidentified. Welcome. And yeah, I've watched a little bit of Garo. Not from the beginning, but I've watched pieces here and there, like episodes here and there. And I watched all of Garo versus Road, which is the series from I think 2020. I specifically watched that one because it is in a different continuity to the rest of the show. So I didn't have to watch all the seasons before it. I could kind of jump in fresh. But it kind of had the same vibe as the rest of Garo, where it is very adult. It is kind of focused on actually scary things and body horror and stuff. So it's basically the bizarre alter ego scary real adult version of Kamen Rider, more or less.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I do think it actually is something that you would enjoy, Toby. Because you were interested in
You
like
like the
Black
weird,
Sun.
gross shit, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it
right. It
very
is
much is.
Black Sun. Are you
Yeah,
okay? Yeah, because I was saying Kamen Rider Black the whole time. It was Black Sun. That is true.
yeah. So Black was the original series, and then Black Sun was the remake that they made more adult and gritty.
I so just so no one corrects me next week or weeks down the road, I meant Black Sun the entire time. I just forgot the name of it.
So yeah, I think Garo and Black Sun have definitely like a spiritual connection there for sure. So yeah, hopefully at some point we can dive into some Garo on the Patreon, because I think we would be into it, and I'd love to watch more of it for sure. All right. Well, that does bring us to the end of our emails. Once again, cast@commonwritersucks.com is the email address if you want to send us in an email to get read on the show, as Jordan did, as Shade did, and as Unidentified did today. And of course, we do still have the patreon.com/the comment writers, where you get access to all the bonus content that we're talking about so far. You can watch all the past series that we've watched, which is a lot of stuff at this point. And you get access to the Discord, where you can ask us questions there as well, as Liv did this week. So if you want to get in on any of that, again, it is patreon.com/the comment writers. And I always like to point out as well, you can follow the Patreon for free, and we do have the first few episodes of everything that we've watched up for free. So you can check all that stuff out. And that will continue on when we do eventually start Gavan Infinity too. So if you're not sure and just want a little bit of a taste, you can get that by following the Patreon for free. So yeah, I think that brings us to our conclusion, Toby. Why don't you tell the people where they can find you on the internet?
On Twitter, it's Life of Tobes, and on YouTube, it's Tobes Plays.
And for me, you can find me over on Blue Sky at meek.lol is my handle. And the show itself also has a Blue Sky page, which you can find at commonwritersucks.com. So again, that is going to do it for us for this week. We do hope you check out the Patreon. We do hope you say hello in the Discord, send in those emails. And we hope you join us back next time to talk about Zeztz episode 22 and see what the fallout is of all these murders that are happening here. But in the meantime, we hope you have a great week. Peace, everybody.